Ironheart is practically unwatchable. Toot toot, Jerry laughs. Yes, there is an alphabet character. They admit Ironheart sucks, but look, they're getting ready to blame you for it because Ironheart fulfills low expectations with weak narrative, poorly written characters, and dull acting.
So with this, I'm not sure what they're meant to be, because this character isn't to be confused with Slug.
Slug, our hacker extraordinaire.
Who is also the exact opposite in the same show. I'm really confused.
The impact that she's having on young Black girls, and I'm going to be completely honest, on Black women.
You know, this is yet another area that's getting vibrant. It's getting full in the way that it should.
Yeah, and it's like the real Tony Stark. It's like back somehow, and there's like a moment where she's flying through, and he's like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "I'm Ironheart, Mr. Stark." And he's like, "I like that girl." And then he like goes to do something else. Like that would be like the level of something that I think would possibly happen. Was a massive disappointment in the ratings for them. Certainly. We do know when you go and you look at through these charts, the first couple days it was out, because we have 3 days of Ironheart in these numbers, just like we had 3 days of Daredevil in these numbers. And Daredevil in those first 3 days had over 300 million minutes watched. So, and that was with less possible runtime than something like Ironheart. Yet we know that it hasn't matched that.
Natalie AI thing seems utterly preposterous and ridiculous, and even for an MCU show, I'm finding it to be a little bit of a bridge too far to go. The heist crew, all lame. Every single one of them, all lame.
Ironheart was supposed to be Marvel's bold reset, the moment they'd passed the torch from the legendary Tony Stark to a fresh, young genius who could lead the next generation of the MCU. And at the center of that plan was Dominique Thorne, a rising star who Disney was determined to make a household name. The marketing was relentless, the expectations sky high. But instead of a triumphant new chapter, Ironheart would stumble out of the gate. And in just a few short months, it would become the punchline of one of the most brutal pop culture takedowns in recent memory. Because when South Park decided to parody Dominique Thorne and her character, the fallout wasn't just funny, it was career-altering. What should have been her big Marvel moment became a public relations nightmare, the kind that doesn't just fade away with the next project. And the story of how it all unraveled is one of those Hollywood tales that's almost too wild to believe.
To really reckon with what that means for the life that she wants to lead.
It's very short-lived. It's brushed over really quickly, and she kind of reverts back to her old self.
But one thing is for certain about this series is that old agendas aside, let's be very real about this. There's a lack of character development. The directing, the producing, the writing is just way off. It makes no sense at all, and it's very lackluster. There's no depth to it.
Does it defy the haters? Or is it another skippable series? It's always about you, right? It's always about the audience. It's amazing. It doesn't matter if it's the 2024 election or whether it's a Disney streaming product. It's always about like how evil is the actual voters? How evil are the audience?
Before the first frame of Ironheart ever hit Disney+, Marvel treated Dominique Thorne like the crown jewel of their next phase. The studio poured millions into turning her into the MCU's new face, someone who could step into Tony Stark's shoes and keep the billion-dollar machine running. Her face was everywhere. Talk shows, fan conventions, red carpet events. Each appearance was crafted to sell the idea that Dominique wasn't just playing Riri Williams. She was Riri Williams. Marvel's marketing leaned heavily into her identity, promoting her as a role model for young Black women in science, a genius inventor who could inspire the next generation. She was even framed as the perfect bridge between Marvel's legacy heroes and their future lineup, and Dominique embraced it. She laughed off skeptics in interviews, compared Ironheart's launch to the early days of Iron Man, and confidently told fans the series would deliver something Marvel audiences had never seen before. Behind the scenes, Robert Downey Jr. himself was sent out on talk shows to praise her character and tie her directly to Iron Man's legacy, a PR move meant to make fans feel like the torch was being officially passed. It was an all-or-nothing campaign. Marvel wasn't just selling a show, they were betting the future of their brand on a single actress and a single character. And for a brief moment, it seemed to be working, until the numbers came in. When Ironheart finally premiered, Marvel expected a surge of streaming numbers to match the months of hype. Instead, the opening stats told a very different story. In its first 3 days, the series couldn't even match the debut numbers of Daredevil, despite having more available runtime. For a franchise used to breaking records, this wasn't just disappointing, it was alarming. Critics were quick to pounce. Reviews slammed the series for clunky writing, an uneven tone, and dialogue that couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a serious superhero drama or a quirky teen comedy. Dominique's performance, once hailed as the MCU's future, suddenly became the focal point of the backlash. Some called it overacted, others said it lacked the charisma needed to carry an entire Marvel property. Online, things got uglier. Twitter threads mocked awkward scenes, Reddit threads titled "Why Ironheart Doesn't Work" climbed to the top of fan forums, and YouTube commentary channels rolled out video essays dissecting everything from the costume design to the character's motivation. Memes portraying Riri Williams as a discount Iron Man flooded social media, chipping away at whatever goodwill the show had left. Within days, Ironheart had gone from Marvel's bold new chapter to Marvel's biggest L, and the buzz surrounding Dominique wasn't about her breakout performance, it was about whether she was the wrong choice for the role entirely. Even before the premiere, there had been cracks in the audience's confidence. Hardcore Marvel loyalists praised Dominique as the perfect casting choice, a young, intelligent, and charismatic actress who could bring Riri Williams to life for a new generation. They loved her interviews, her confidence, and the way she leaned into the role as if she'd been born for it. But on the other side, skeptics saw Ironheart as a risky gamble. Riri Williams' comic book run had been polarizing, and some fans felt Marvel was forcing her into the spotlight before the audience was ready. Others accused the studio of relying too heavily on identity politics, focusing on her background and messaging rather than tight storytelling. When the show dropped and reviews soured, that split became a war. Supporters defended Dominique, saying she was being unfairly targeted because she represented change in the MCU. Critics doubled down, arguing that Marvel had hyped a character and actress that simply weren't ready to anchor an entire series. The debate spilled across Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube, turning Ironheart from just another underperforming Marvel show into a culture war battleground. If Ironheart's lukewarm reception had been bad, the South Park parody made it catastrophic. The episode, titled Ironed Out, introduced Ricky Wires, a painfully obvious knockoff of Riri Williams. Ricky strutted into town in a clunky homemade suit, bragging about being the smartest person in the Marvel Universe, only for every invention to backfire in spectacularly stupid ways. The gags were merciless. In one scene, Ricky tried to stop a bank robbery, but her suit's AI blasted K-pop at full volume until the robbers simply walked away. In another, a roast thrown in her honor turned into a list of humiliating failures, capped by the line, "At least Iron Man had personality." The in-show audience erupted in laughter, and so did viewers at home. It wasn't just a dig at the character. It was a takedown of Dominique's entire public image during the Ironheart press tour. The exaggerated arrogance, the awkward delivery, the overconfidence, all cranked up to 11. And when the clips hit Twitter, they went nuclear. Suddenly, Ironheart was trending again. Not because people wanted to watch it, but because South Park had made it a national joke. At first, Dominique stayed silent, posting the usual set photos, motivational quotes, and promo snippets as if nothing had happened. Some fans thought she was taking the high road, letting the joke burn out on its own. But that calm didn't last. It started on a mid-tier entertainment podcast. The host casually asked, "So, have you seen the South Park episode about Ironheart?" Dominique's smile tightened. She laughed once, then said, "I don't really watch cartoons that tear down people doing important work." It could have ended there, but she doubled back, adding, "It's easy to make fun of someone when you're hiding behind a cartoon character. I'd like to see those guys do what I do." The clip hit Twitter within the hour. Critics called her thin-skinned, fans accused her of punching down at a comedy show that's been roasting celebrities for decades. Within 24 hours, she posted a tweet thread defending Ironheart and calling the parody lazy humor, suggesting the backlash was driven by people who never wanted her in the MCU in the first place. By the next day, several tweets were deleted, but screenshots were everywhere. Instead of dying down, the controversy caught fire. And now, Dominique wasn't just the star of a flop, she was the star of a meltdown. Once that podcast clip and those tweets hit the internet, the feeding frenzy began. YouTube drama channels uploaded videos titled "Dominique Thorne Snaps at South Park" and "Ironheart Actress Meltdown Caught on Camera." TikTok creators reenacted her podcast moment with exaggerated expressions, splicing it with South Park clips for comedic effect. Blogs churned out think pieces about why modern actors can't take a joke. A former Marvel actor joked on Instagram, "If South Park roasted me, I'd frame it." Even late-night hosts joined in, turning her quotes into monologue punchlines. The more Dominique pushed back, the more it fed the cycle. Her deleted tweets became memes, her podcast clip became reaction GIFs, and the silence from Marvel's bigger names No public defense, no supportive statements, only fueled speculation that the studio's PR team had told everyone to keep their distance. What might have been a one-week meme had now transformed into a full-scale PR disaster, and Dominique was right in the middle of it, unable to control the story as the internet kept rewriting it in real time. In Hollywood, perception is currency, and Dominique's had just taken a nosedive. Inside Marvel, the timing couldn't have been worse. The MCU was already wobbling after a string of underwhelming projects, and Ironheart was supposed to help reignite fan enthusiasm. Instead, it had become a symbol of everything critics said was wrong with Marvel's current strategy: bloated budgets, heavy-handed messaging, and characters that failed to connect. Rumors started to swirl on Reddit and fan forums that Marvel might quietly scale back Riri Williams' role in upcoming films. Anonymous industry sources claimed executives weren't happy with how Dominique handled the South Park situation. The whispers suggested internal meetings were already shifting focus toward introducing alternative young heroes, ones who could capture the audience without the baggage. And it wasn't just Marvel. Casting agents took notice. Smaller productions Dominique had been loosely attached to suddenly stopped giving updates. A few entertainment reporters began hinting that she might be on pause for certain projects, the kind of vague, polite language that usually means someone's name has been quietly removed from consideration. The longer the South Park memes stayed alive, the more her name became linked to 3 dangerous words in the industry: difficult, defensive, and unpredictable. In an environment where studios can replace you with the next rising star overnight, that's not just bad press, it's career-threatening. The Dominique Thorne fallout wasn't just about one actress or one underperforming show. It became a mirror reflecting Marvel's deeper issues. Phase 5 was meant to be the MCU's grand reset after the post-Endgame slump, a fresh wave of heroes to re-energize the brand. But instead, the studio found itself fighting on multiple fronts: declining box office numbers, mixed reviews, and an audience growing weary of what critics called Marvel fatigue. Ironheart was supposed to counter that fatigue, a young, dynamic hero for a new generation, marketed with all the optimism and polish of Marvel's early days. Instead, it ended up as Exhibit A for why fans felt disconnected. Heavy-handed messaging, an over-reliance on identity-based marketing, and a lack of compelling storytelling made the series an easy target. And when South Park pounced, they didn't just roast Dominique, they roasted Marvel's entire strategy. The parody worked because it hit a nerve. It tapped into the same frustrations fans had been voicing for years, condensing them into 22 minutes of biting satire. And when Dominique's reaction confirmed that the joke had struck deep, it only reinforced the perception that Marvel's younger stars weren't ready for the relentless, 24/7 spotlight that comes with MCU fame. For Marvel, it was another public relations headache in a year already full of them. For Dominique, it was something worse. A cultural moment that cemented her in the public eye, not as Marvel's next big thing, but as the face of one of its most high-profile missteps. For Dominique Thorne, Ironheart was supposed to be the role that launched her into Marvel superstardom, her Iron Man moment. Instead, it's remembered for tanking ratings, relentless memes, and a South Park parody that refuses to fade from pop culture. The internet moves fast, but certain moments stick. Dominique's reaction, the Titan smile, the defensive interview, the deleted tweets, has been etched into MCU history for all the wrong reasons. Even if she lands more roles, even if she delivers Oscar-worthy performances, there will always be someone ready to splice that South Park clip next to her face and remind the world of the moment she couldn't shake. And maybe that's the real lesson here. It wasn't just South Park that reshaped Dominique's image. It was the perfect storm, a struggling Marvel project, an unforgiving online culture, and a public reaction that told audiences everything they needed to know. In Hollywood, perception isn't just part of the job, it is the job. One slip, one viral moment, and the narrative can change overnight. For Dominique, the question now isn't whether she can act, it's whether she can rewrite that narrative before it becomes permanent. Because in an industry built on reinvention, the hardest role to escape is the one the public writes for you.